Yo, welcome back to the Throned Out YouTube channel, and today I'm really happy because we're finally starting to get some views, finally starting to get some subscribers. This channel's finally starting to take off, so if you're watching, make sure you like and subscribe, support the content. This is the most entertaining channel on YouTube, the most relevant channel on YouTube that you're ever going to find. And if you did not know, Mr. Beeple is the artist behind the most expensive NFT to have ever been sold, which cost 69 million. I'm going to put it right here, and it is one image, one supreme image, which consists of 5,000 individual images. And we look into each individual image, and each individual image has its own philosophy, its own crazy story and deeper symbolism. And we get into it, we annotate it, we talk about it, we make interpretations, and that's what this channel is all about. If you want to have a look at these images for yourself, the link is in the description to the artist's website, Beeple's website. I always say this, but I'll say it again, I don't get paid to promote him, but it's only right that I promote him considering my whole YouTube channel is about him. So without further ado, let's get into today's video, and the title of today's image is called Beast. This image right here is titled Beast. Now, what do we see in this image? We're seeing is clearly daytime. Some Beeple images is daytime. Some Beeple images you'll see that it's nighttime. And in some Beeple images you'll see the moon during the daytime. Some Beeple images you'll see the sun during the nighttime. And you'll see some cosmic SHIT in the background. You never know what you're going to see in a Beeple image. But in this image it's daytime. We've obviously got a massive shark mouth. Well, is that a shark? Well, this image is called Beast. When I first looked at this image, I thought, you know what, that looks like the mouth of a shark. But now I'm looking at the eyes, I can't necessarily tell, is this the mouth of a shark or is this a mouth of something else? It could be another animal, or it could just be the mouth of a beast. Now we have one regular looking chap right there. We've got a regular looking guy, and he just looks like a very regular guy. The reason I say that is because of his jacket. You know, here in the UK you'll see a lot of guys who've got a jacket like him, like a black silky looking puffer jacket. So he's a very typical looking guy. He's standing on this illuminated pathway leading into the mouth of the beast. And there's a stairway also going deeper into the mouth. There is rocks on each side of the mouth accompanying the stairways. And now on the right hand side we've got what looks like these stone type of monuments, and then even behind them, if you look a little closer, you'll see there's these small tiny pyramids just on the right and on the left of the mouth of the beast. You'll see these small tiny pyramids. Now, are these referencing the pyramids of Egypt? I don't know necessarily, but it's some pyramid looking things, and that's important. We're going to get into that. So now we've spoken about exactly what we can see in this image. Now let's get into what is this image trying to show. How can we interpret this image? Now, the mouth of the beast. Now, let's talk about the guy for a second. The guy stood at the mouth of the beast. He doesn't look as if he's walking towards it, and he doesn't look like he's walking away from it. He looks like he's somewhere in between, attempting to decide, should I walk into the mouth of the beast or should I just walk away? So this man looks like he's in a decision. I mean, he's in a position where he's making a decision. And this setting is also quite curious because, as I said, we've got the pyramid looking things in the background. We've got these almost alien like stones. I'm pretty sure somewhere in nature you'll find stones which look like this, but to me I feel like they have some sort of alien type of look to them. They don't look like your regular stones, your regular rocks and mountains by the sea. You know, they look quite unique. So, and as you know, every Beeple image, it applies to people, it applies to human beings. It's not just random digital art, there's always a meaning behind it. And if you've looked at enough Beeple images, you know there's always a gimmick behind each image. There's always some sort of personal message behind it. So we've got this man deciding, should he walk into the mouth of the beast? Now what does that symbolize? What is that referring to? Right off the bat, when I think of the beast, I think of just the intensity and the ferociousness of the society that we live in today. You know, society where it's all about making money, it's all about, you know, material things, having a car, having a job, having an education, you know, the belly of the beast, the mouth of the beast, you know. And a lot of, that's not just my words, that's also what a lot of religious scriptures say. You know, they say that the modern world, the world we're living in today, is, you know, a sign of the end times and whatever. But, you know, it's like the world of the devil, the world of the beast, where, you know, money seems to be more important than anything else. Because we all know in today's day and age, you could have the most wise guy ever. This guy could be a genius. He could have all the answers to the universe. But if he has no money, people are not going to listen to him. They're not going to take him seriously. Whereas you've got the guy who's got a lot of money, he's a billionaire, and he's talking absolute garbage. He's telling you absolute garbage. He's not telling you anything real. He's not giving you any honest advice. He's talking garbage at you, but you're going to listen to him. Why? Because he's a billionaire, you know? The money speaks for itself. So, to me, this looks like he's deciding, should I walk into the beast? You know? Perhaps this is just my assumption. Perhaps he could be a guy from the countryside. He could be a guy who lives somewhere rural, somewhere organics, maybe by the mountains, maybe in the fields. And he's deciding, should I walk into the city? Should I go ahead and live in the city? Should I move into the city? Should I move into the belly of the beast? Should I enter the mouth of the beast? You know, because of course, coming from a rural area, moving into a city, especially the inner city, is completely different to your reality, which is normally quite silent and peaceful and nature orientated and animal orientated. And now you've gone into this ferocious city where it's all about money and it's all about business and it's dog eat dog, you know, no such thing as consideration, because everyone's just trying to get their own. You know, this could potentially be representing a man who does not live in the city, contemplating on whether he should move to the city and enter the beast. And more often than not, like me personally, I was born and raised in the city, but I know there's individuals who are not from the cities. They're from more rural, more natural countryside type of areas, and their perception of the city is very different to the people who actually live in the city. They see it for its darkness, they see it for its ferociousness, they see it for its negative elements, and they take that into consideration when they're visiting, or if they're staying, or if they're associating with people from the city. You know, when you're caught up in the city, when you've lived in the city your whole life like me, it's very easy to become extremely desensitized to just everything that goes on. The whole culture of money, the pretty women everywhere, the flashy cars everywhere, you know, the nice food spots. It's very easy to get caught up into it and to, you know, indulge yourself into it. But from the perspective of someone who has not lived in the city and they've lived somewhere natural their whole lives, you know, you're looking at a city from a very different light, from a whole different perspective, and often more likely a much truer perspective than the person who's hypnotized within it. So this does look like a sea animal, because you can see that there's small amounts of water, there's these small puddles surrounding the mouth. So this must be some sort of sea animal, you know, like a massive fish or something, you know. And it definitely does look like some beastly sort of creature. And what's quite interesting is the stairway going into its mouth. And, you know, you've got these rocks on either side. What I think that means is, you know, walking into the unknown, walking deeper within the beast. You know, it goes from looking at the beast to walking inside of the beast. It goes from looking at the city to actually dwelling and going inside of the city and eventually getting lost in it. You know, there's a lot of old people who they've lived in the city their whole lives and they don't want to move out of the city. They want to retire in the city. They want to die in the city. They are people who've become lost within the beast. Not saying what they've chosen is right or wrong. Everyone's got their own lives, but you know, some people do find comfort in the city. And you know, this man could walk into the mouth of the shark, the mouth of the beast, and he could potentially find comfort for himself. And there's also lights within the mouth. There is an illumination. So again, that also backs up what I'm saying about this whole city and country thing, where the city is known for having lights. You know, a rural countryside area, when it's nighttime, you're seeing pitch black. You know, you're not really seeing a lot. Whereas in the city, nighttime, and you're seeing lights everywhere. Lights coming off buildings, lights off the skyscrapers, lights coming from cars. You're seeing lights everywhere, you know, especially during the nighttime. So this is why I definitely, you know what I'm saying, I think one of the possible interpretations of this image is this guy trying to decide if he wants to move into the city and enter the mouth of the beast, which is very dense. It can be a very dark place at times, but at the same time you've got physical lights. You've got a lot of LED lights everywhere, which for some reason is, we find it very reassuring to see LED lights everywhere at night. This beast has a lot of teeth. He has a lot of teeth, especially his top teeth, and they're very pointy and they're very sharp. I think people in the city can be very cutthroat. They can be very sharp, you know. If you move to a big city like New York, London, Paris, and you think you're a big shot, you're gonna find someone who's bigger than you. If you think you're someone who's bad, you're gonna find someone who's badder than you. If you think you're a sharp talker, you're gonna find someone who's an even sharp talker than you. I think the sharp teeth represents, you know, I think the sharp teeth represent kind of just, you know, by kind of the destruction of everything you believe to be possible. Everything you thought you understood about the world, everything you thought you understood about reality, the more and more you live in the city, the deeper you get into it, when that mouth starts to close on you, when the teeth start to sink in on you, you will realize that you don't know nothing. You've got so much to learn about people. You've got so much to learn about how the world works, how the money works. And you know, you'll come to some very sharp, hard-hitting realizations. You'll come to some realizations which will really take a bite out of you. Now, I want to talk about the pyramids. I want to talk about the pyramids on either side of this beast. Because a lot of the culture we see today, in the world today, a lot of our inventions, a lot of our culture, a lot of our linguistic influences and our knowledge of numerology and our knowledge of architecture has come from ancient Egypt. You know, the land of the pyramids, the land of the pharaohs. A lot of the innovations and inventions of ancient Egypt have been replicated in today's day and age, you know, which is something a lot of people are unaware of. A lot of architects to this day look at the architecture of ancient Egypt and they say they are astounded by it. They cannot seem to understand how thousands of years ago they had the intelligence and the power necessary to construct the monuments they constructed, such as the pyramids of Giza. And there's a lot more to ancient Egypt than, you know, a lot of people would realize. A lot of the stuff that went on in ancient Egypt, we're actually seeing it today. There's so much influence, you know. I would go as far as to say hieroglyphics were the earliest form of language. You know, language in its experimental stages, in its development stages. And of course, even makeup, I heard, came from ancient Egypt. I've heard even toothbrushes came from ancient Egypt. The earliest form of contraception came from ancient Egypt. If you did not know, here's an interesting fact for you. as a means of contraception, so that the woman could not be impregnated during intercourse, the ancient Egyptians would actually gather crocodile feces, insert it into the female genitalia, and use that as a contraceptive measure. So some of the earliest forms of contraception. And I know there's a lot of cultures out there, there's a lot of nations and civilizations and societies throughout history which have had a massive impact on the world we're seeing today, the international technological world we're seeing today. But ancient Egypt especially, you know, has had a massive contribution in today's world. You know, and one little insight I'll give you is the word settings. You know, if you're looking on any smartphone, or if you've just bought something, you always see the settings. And what settings means is essentially the inner workings. And every word in the English language has its own etymology to it. And the word setting has the word set within it. Setting, set. And Set was one of the Egyptian gods. You know? And that's not a coincidence. You can look into it and what Set represents and who he is, and understand the correlation between the god Set and the settings of technology. And you know, there's a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of influence within the language we use that has come from ancient Egypt, within our technology, within numerology, even within government infrastructure. There's so much inspiration from ancient Egypt, more so than any other civilization. And within these modern cities that we see today, you know, these cities of skyscrapers and these cities of roads and traffic and fancy restaurants and fancy stores, there is a lot of influence from Egyptian culture in the Hollywood industry, in the Bollywood industry. So many celebrities have personally admitted to being influenced by the ancient Egyptians. There's so many ceremonies and there's so many performances at award shows where you'll see actors and you'll see the whole performance is a tribute towards some sort of knowledge about ancient Egypt. There's so many movies about it. So, you know, I think there's definitely not a coincidence as to why the pyramids are being shown alongside the beast. And the last thing I want to touch on before we end this video, I know it's been a bit of a long one, but bear with me, is that the pathway that the man is standing on is an illuminated pathway. And back to what I was saying about this massive beast representing the city, the ferocity and, you know, the reality of the city. This pathway he's standing on is illuminated, as in the city has been glorified. You know, people have probably told him, oh, you'll make money if you head on to the city, you know, you'll be successful, or you should come down. He's seen things on the TV, he may have seen things on the media, so the city life has been very glorified to him. You know, me living in the city, I've seen a lot of people who have moved to the city at a later stage in life. They weren't born and raised like me, and they've had preconceptions about the city, thinking it's going to be amazing, thinking they're going to come here and find friends instantly, thinking everything's just going to work out, and the reality is very hard hitting for them. And I'm assuming it probably feels something like this image right here, walking into the mouth of the beast and getting lost within it and being blinded by the lights inside of it. So yeah, man, that's what I think about this image. I think I interpreted it pretty well, but if you noticed anything I didn't notice, if you've seen anything I didn't see that you want to talk about, leave it in the comment sections below. I'll try to reply. Let's get talking. This image right here is called Beast. This is definitely one of the biggest images we've covered so far in terms of what it represents. And please like, subscribe, and thank you.